Good afternoon, Tampa. It's Mayor Jane here again for our Facebook Live at 4:30. Happy Cinco de Mayo to everyone. So our guest today, we always have incredible guests, and today is no exception. It's going to be Chief Brian Dugan and the Tampa Police Department, and we will talk to him about our reopening plan. And we've got some exciting plans, and it's going to be a great evening here in the city of Tampa. So I want to start out, as I always do, with the number of cases, the update. We have 1,324 total cases in Hillsborough County, and we have 33 deaths. Now, any of you who have been following, yesterday it was at 23. So we have had the biggest increase in the number of deaths, and that is related to two different locations in the county, not in the city. But still, that is an increase. And as I always say, behind each of those 33 names is an individual who has left behind family and friends. We have only had, I believe, two individuals that have died that were under 60. So mostly elderly, but nonetheless, each of those lives is very important to our community. So with that said, we need to continue as much as we can, even with this reopening. Please continue to adhere to the safer at home rules, and also the social distancing, wearing of the face coverings, and taking those steps to disinfect and washing your hands often, especially if you're in the high risk category. It's critically important then. There should really be no changes with this gradual reopening in the lives of high risk individuals. Very, very important. This virus continues to be highly contagious, and those numbers, as I've said all along, is as we open up, the number of positive cases are going to increase. It's just common sense. The more we come together, regardless of the steps we try to take to avoid transmission, we're going to have an increase in the number of cases. So it's critically important, those that fall into high risk, that you continue to stay home as much as you possibly can and only go out for essential reasons. So the testing, please call Hillsborough County. As you know, there is no cost. There are no parameters around it. You don't have to have, all you have to do is want to have that test. You don't have to have the symptoms. You don't have to be exposed to someone else. You just have to want to take the test. And you can call Hillsborough County at 813-272-5900. And you can schedule a test at Lee Davis Center or Raymond James Stadium. And then there are other locations out in the county. There's one in Plant City and one in Ruskin as well. So make sure that you get tested if you have a desire to do so. And that's the data that we're going to use to be able to map our entire area to indicate if there's any breakouts, any surges, anything like that, so we can identify them early and get in there and provide the services necessary to keep those cases to a minimum. So it's very, very important. And I thank everyone for their cooperation in the testing. And thank you so much for your cooperation in adhering to the safer at home. That's the reason that we were able to keep our cases, the number of positive cases, to a minimum. But we're going to have to continue that work as we open up slowly. You know, we can't take one step forward and have to take two steps back. We want to continue to build on the success of this phase and eventually get back to what we're going to have to deem our new normal, but get back to normal. Very important. Go to tampagov.net. We've got everything that you need to know about the virus, about testing for it, and also about our Lift Up Local, our new initiative that we are putting in place to help the small businesses, specifically restaurants and retail, open back up under the governor's order. So very, very important that if you have any questions at all, please go to that website. All right, Chief Dugan, so here we are. We have worked literally day and night since the governor released his order to reopen. And as we know, retail and restaurants can open, but they can only open 25% of their occupancy rate. And so some restaurants aren't even able to meet their bottom line with a 25% occupancy. So the Tampa team got together and uh, thought about ways that we could help out. What could we do to safely increase the capacity of our restaurants and our retail? And so what we have done is come up with the Lift Up Local, and we are allowing the 25% within a restaurant or retail, 25% occupancy, but then relaxing city codes to allow tables and chairs to be put out on sidewalks in some cases, out in parking spaces in other cases, and literally out in the street in some cases as well. And so we are trying to do our part, but that means that you need to do your part. We are going to have to strictly enforce the rules of engagement for this because we can't have people loitering. What we're trying to do is simplify it. So we say no seat, no service. So you have to call ahead, make a reservation at the restaurants, and that way you'll be ensured that your table is ready and you can walk right up and sit down with your party. No parties larger than 10 individuals, and all of the tables will have to be 6 feet apart. All of the restaurant staff that's engaging with the public will have to be wearing face covers as well. And we encourage, as we always have, all of our citizens to be wearing those face coverings as well. And so on the areas that are blocked off, we are to a degree going to control the ingress and egress, again, making sure that you have a place at the restaurant and you can go straight to your table and sit down. We can't have large groups of individuals congregating, waiting on tables or waiting for something to open up. Also, the bars are not open. I know that this is not a good thing when you're trying to celebrate Cinco de Mayo, but it's the way that it is. No bars are open, and that includes bars that are contained within restaurants. And also, this means that no standing and eating food or drinking at the bars either. We're trying to control the number of people so that we don't have a surge in cases. So critically important. So you will be seeing myself and Chief Dugan out and about town. So when you see us, you probably should run the other way. I would if I were you, but I'm stuck with Chief Dugan, so I got to hang out. So let me ask the Chief a couple of questions. So Chief, can I get a drink and just walk around if I want to?
No, you can't. We want like you had said, we want everybody to have a seat. You just can't go in there and grab a drink and start walking around. And it's about we just can't have people loitering around and doing what they want. And this is a huge opportunity that you're providing for the different restaurants and for the community. Really, I mean, it's not about the restaurants. It's about providing people a place to go also.
Yes.
And there has to be some restrictions to it, as you're aware of. And so, no, you can't do that. You can certainly have a drink at your table, though.
There you go. And we've relaxed those regulations as well. So you will be able to drink your favorite alcoholic beverages if you're so inclined at your table outside or on the sidewalks or in the parking lot as well, but only in those particular restricted areas. So again, we want, as Chief Dugan said, this is a sense of community. We want to get back to community as much as we possibly can, but we've got to do it safely. So we want to make sure that we don't have large crowds lingering or loitering any locations. So if somebody has a complaint, what should they do? Should they call the state or should they call the local police department? How would we handle that?
Well, if obviously, if we're out there, they should find a police officer and go to them in person and handle it that way. That would be ideally the best way, so we could kind of resolve the problem right then and there. People do call the police department, and then we send police officers out there to kind of assess the situation, and then we determine who else should be called, who else should be notified, whether it be code enforcement, the fire marshal, or the state. And so they certainly can call the police department and we'll take a look into it and make a determination as to who the appropriate person is to handle it.
Okay, excellent. Now we have opened up streets. I believe we're down, are we to 5 or uh, I believe it's 5 streets. So we have a segment in Ybor open, right, on 7th Avenue,
Mm.
one of them. And then we have a segment of Franklin Street that is, well, open, closed down the streets, open to dining and having tables and chairs. We also have Hyde Park Village, a segment there that is closed down. And then we have a lane of Swan Avenue that is closed as well. So what are we doing, say my neighborhood in Seminole Heights? Are we going to close down Florida Avenue?
No, well, we're relying on working with the restaurants to be able to use some of their parking lots and things like that. It get, where it got complicated is, do the restaurants want to move tables out, and how far is the road from the actual? It's a little more complicated than what people would believe, as we all learned.
Yes.
And so no, but they'll be certainly able to use their parking lots and things like that.
Right, and we've all learned a new name, parklets. So
Yes.
these
That's what I had never heard of parklet.
neither had I. So I'm glad we're on the same wavelength there. So a parklet can be, for example, the one lane on Swan that we have closed down, or it can be parking spaces in a particular neighborhood in front of a restaurant. For example, I live in Seminole Heights. We can't close down Florida Avenue. First of all, it's a state road, and second of all, it wouldn't be very safe. And so we're encouraging restaurants, if they choose to utilize some of the parking spaces, and then just asking the residents in Seminole Heights to be patient about the parking on the side streets. It's all about opening our businesses back up. And as Chief Dugan said, it's also all about our community. So let's talk about enforcement. So we always talk in traffic about the E's. So what are the police officers going to do if they see a violation?
Well, even though I'm tempted to just tase people immediately, but it's probably not good for business. Wouldn't be good from a public relations standpoint. But
But it really point across, wouldn't it?
Would point across, and it probably would solve any other problems for the night.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk to people, and we're going to educate them, which is what we've been doing. And most people comply. I think what happens is when they're out amongst friends and family, and they go to a location in the same car together, and you're being socializing and talking, you kind of lose sight of the fact that you're probably a little bit too close. I mean, I find myself having to remind people I'm with, got to back up and, set be the right role model. And so we're going to educate them and talk to them. And, we haven't had any problems so far. As you know, we're always a little worried when you add some alcohol to the situation, but I think it's okay.
Yes, without a doubt. And did I happen to mention that bars are closed? Did we cover that? Yes, we did, didn't we? But let's say it one more time because it's Cinco de Mayo. Bars are closed. That's right. There's no doubt about it. So we also opened up our beaches, a number of our parks, all of our dog walks. And in the parks, we've opened up the trails. So basically the rec centers will not be open. Restrooms will not be open. And any kind of youth sports or any of the courts, basketball, any of those sporting equipment, playgrounds, those types of things, anything that either requires close contact or would have multiple touches on a piece of equipment, that's still closed down. So that's going to be for another phase where we start to include other service provisions. So we are very excited about tonight, but also we want everyone to follow the rules, because a violation of the rules here could, and I don't mean to be dramatic, but it could ultimately end in someone's death. So this virus, as we've said, highly contagious and quite often is silent. So individuals that have it can be passing it around to those that can least afford to get it. So we will be out there this evening in force. How many officers do you expect to have out working? And you don't have to get, well, actually, you just say all of them, right?
Well,
All
we
of,
have reassigned some people out there. We've taken them off their normal assignments. We're going to have a significant presence out there. And as you know, when you plan for a large crowd, that's when no one shows.
right.
Um, but we have to have a presence, especially with some of the street closures.
Mm.
And we'll see. I'm guessing that this may start off a little slow tonight, and as we creep into the weekend, the crowds might increase. People are still working from home; they're still working,
Yeah.
and so they're not in the office, but they still have job responsibilities. So we'll see. I think people are excited. They may kind of just want to go out to see what it's like tonight, but I would expect the crowds will get bigger or larger as we go through the week.
Right. And that's what we discourage is anybody coming out just to see what it's like. That's why we are requiring the reservations is so that you're assured a seat because we remember no seat, no service. So you have to have a table at the restaurant before you head out to that restaurant. I think that that's very, very important. It's important to the restaurants so that they can maintain a full level of reservations and keep all their tables full. And it's also important to our community that we don't have a lot of people that are showing up and basically with no place to go. So that is very important as well. We've also taken some steps and asked the restaurants to do things that will also avoid the transmission of the virus. And that is have one use menus so that, once the individuals look at it, then they can get rid of those and the virus won't be passed. Having payment systems that are as touch free as they can possibly be. All of those types of things. I already mentioned that any of the restaurant staff that is assisting the public or come in contact with the public will have to wear face coverings. So they're taking as many steps as they can to ensure your safety, but that's a two-way street. We have to make sure that we're ensuring their safety as well because they're just getting back to work and this is a new endeavor for everyone. This is why we started this evening and not on the weekend, just so we could iron out some of the wrinkles. But if you call ahead, you'll know if you have a table, you'll have an exact time for your reservation, and you won't have to sit around and wait. So incredibly important. So how, Chief, how would you suggest that individuals celebrate Cinco de Mayo?
Well, I would suggest they stay home, but that's not what we do for our economy. But
Yeah,
I have to be wise about the whole thing. I mean, there with all the different ways to get around these days, and it would be a boost to some of the rideshare programs to get used to that.
yeah,
But I think they hit some of the different spots, do it carefully, and then the beauty about some of the stuff is you can get bottled wine to go and everything, so you could, if you wanted to, take the party back home, so to speak. We just don't want you drinking it on the streets.
there you go.
Uh, and I think that's the thing. I think what would be interesting to see is watch the single crowd. How do you socially distance yourself from others, yet try to, hit the home run when you're meeting someone there, and it's one of those things that they better be careful because they may need to wear more than just a mask because they may come up with more than the Rona one day. So that's what's going to
Yeah,
be interesting to see how all this thing goes down. But I think I'm looking forward to it. I think we're all looking forward to it. I mean, we've been doing this since early March. Meeting, as you're aware, meeting every day, literally 7 days a week. 3 days ago, feels like it was 3 months ago,
yes.
and we're doing 2-hour calls on a Friday night. And so I'm just looking forward to kind of getting our city back to the way it was. We had such a bright future here in Tampa with so much going on with the different, bit of a renaissance of downtown, and all the construction and all the happening things going, and then this kind of really pumped the brakes on everything.
Yep. But we're going to get back up. There's absolutely no doubt about that, and we will be able to come back stronger. So we encourage anybody that wants to celebrate Cinco de Mayo to do that in the ways that you've grown accustomed to socializing, and that is through Zoom, make a TikTok video, go outside with your neighbors, stay 6 feet apart, um, patronize your local businesses, get the to-go orders, even buying liquor from the local store. Restaurants are allowed to do package now as well. Anything that you can do to help out a small business, especially if you have not been affected by this virus. If you still have your job and you have so much to be thankful for, help out somebody else that's in need in our community. I talk about it quite often on these shows about what an incredible community we have. We love to celebrate together. We would have a great Cinco de Mayo celebration this evening under any other circumstances, but we also help each other out when the going gets tough. And I have been helping out Feeding Tampa Bay on Saturdays. This past Saturday, they handed out over 3,000, actually over 3,500 um, meals, boxes of produce, all kinds of food to individuals, basically a week's worth. And 70% of the individuals have never received any type of assistance or donation in the past, and 60% had recently lost their jobs. So it's real out there on the street, and people are hurting, and we are trying to get back as quickly as we can. But the chief, myself, and all of the other staff members at the city of Tampa, our first and foremost responsibility is making sure that all of our citizens are healthy and safe. Secondly, is the economic recovery and the economic health of our community. So I believe we will be able to bounce back, but we've got to do it right. And this is the first test right here. So we're asking everybody to do their part, understand your level of personal responsibility, take it very, very seriously, and do what we need to do so that, as I said in the beginning, we can take this phase, be very successful, and then build upon that, and we don't have to backtrack. That would be the worst thing that we would have to do. So we will keep you guys informed. We will be out there this evening. If there's any question about it, Dugan's going to be the bad guy. I'm going to be the good guy. So
Nope.
I think that goes without saying, eh? Without a doubt. All right. You have anything else you want to add?
No, yeah, if I could, the one of the things that I just want to thank the community out there. Mayor, you're very much aware when you were chief of police for 6 years and worked at TPD for 31 years. We're a very fortunate police department here that has a support system from their community, and I want to take the minute to thank everyone because we've had people donate food, we've had them donate personal protection equipment. I had one guy call me. He had 6 N95 masks that he found in his garage when he was painting some things, and he donated it. I mean, little things like that they're doing every little thing to help. And, been there, you lived through the tragedies of losing police officers and the way the community rallies behind the police department. And I just want to thank everybody. It's really moving. You can relate to it because you used to be chief of police. And sometimes the good that goes on in our community is incredible. You talked about Feeding Tampa Bay. There's no doubt that we're going to bounce back. Mm-hmm. We just got to stick together. And I think there's no better city in the nation that sticks together than Tampa.
Amen. And also find those silver linings as well. My sister told me the other day that she watched a bird take a bath in her backyard bird bath for like an hour. And she said it was absolutely beautiful. And she goes, I didn't even know we had a bird bath back there. So again, maybe the silver lining is we've slowed down. We know who our neighbors are. We take time for those conversations and take time to appreciate some of the gifts that we have in our life that we've been moving too fast to see in the past. So, always have to look for that silver lining without a doubt. Now I've got one question. Katrina Dowd Miller wants to know when Chief Dugan is going to be reading a bedtime story.
Tonight,
right?
God, that was a good idea gone bad. Okay. So first of all, we didn't think it through because we're gonna have cops read bedtime stories. Sounds like a great idea. What was the first story? Three Little Pigs. Really? Think that one through? Cops reading about pigs. It's just not well thought. But clearly the peer pressure is starting to come to me, and I'm gonna have to break down and do this. I may get some Rosetta Stone hooked on phonics to kind of speed up my game, but I'm clearly going to have to do something about this because I'm getting a lot of pressure from people out there.
All right. Well, you're on it now. You're on the hook. So that's pretty funny. I could see you reading a bedtime story to the little kids. All right. Well, thank you, Chief Dugan. And we do have an incredible community here. We have a lot to be thankful for, and we know that this opening this evening will go well. We always prepare for the worst and we hope for the best, but we have no doubt that people are going to do the right thing this evening. And I tell you, Chief, I think I kind of miss that seat someday, but some days. But you know what? You're doing a great job. I really do appreciate it. And I know the community appreciates it as well. So thanks for being on our show today. And I will see you in the not too distant future as we will be riding around patrolling the city again this evening. And if, I start trying to talk on the radio or take some kind of police action, you can just slap my hand away from it. But
There you go.
Once a cop, always a cop.
Yep, no doubt. So good talking to you, Mayor.
All right, I'll see you soon. Okay, again, please everyone text Tampa Ready or Tampa Lista to 888-777 to get real-time updates. Tampa Biz to 888-777 for all of our small businesses, actually any of our businesses, but we'll be sending out information on the opening and everything that we're doing, trying to kickstart our economy here. So also our call center is still open. That's 1-833-TPA-INFO if you want to talk to somebody, if you have any questions, if you want to report any violations this evening, whatever you need to talk to someone about, you're more than welcome to call that number and we'll help you out there. Now, I did get a couple of questions. One was from Bishop's Clan, and it said, what are we doing about the unemployment situation? That it's just unbelievable that individuals still have not received their unemployment benefits. It's, people are really struggling out there, and this has been one roadblock after the other for the citizens of not just Tampa, but of the entire state. And then when they supposedly fixed the system, 40% of the individuals applying were kicked out. So please continue to apply. We had One Tampa, a program where we tried to help out, or we did help out residents with rent and mortgage and utilities, and then help small businesses as well. Hillsborough County did the same. Hillsborough County, as you know, received the CARES funding, and they put $15 million towards rent, mortgage, utility assistance, and that has run out. But we're looking at putting a round 2 of our One Tampa for small businesses in place. Somebody also asked about a question about One Tampa and what when those payments would be received. On the residential level, they're already being paid. So if you qualified for that program, then those payments are being sent out. They're not being sent to the individuals. They're going to the mortgage companies, to the landlords, and to the utilities. But those payments are being made. So we wish we could help the entire community. As you know, our program was $8 million, and we cobbled that together from a number of different funds and from donations. Another thing too, if you have not been impacted by this virus and you received a relief check, think about donating that. We've received several donations from individuals who have not been impacted and received some financial assistance, and they paid that forward to One Tampa, to Feeding Tampa Bay, to Metropolitan Ministries, to the Crisis Center. You pick your choice. Just think about helping somebody else out in their time of need. So incredibly important. All right, let's see if I covered it all. I think I did. So as Chief Dugan and I have said, we are going to be able to get through this. We are an incredibly strong community, and we will get through this together, and we will emerge on the other side even stronger than before. So as always, remember to stay calm, be safe, be kind, and if at all possible, stay at home. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Thank you.
See you, man.